Welcome to another draft diary. I am JMats for GenerationD20.com. I'm ready to dive into a 8-4 looks like something's afoot. Okay. Well, that was weird. And now it'll take forever to load. I don't really know. I should record this, but I already pressed record. That launching. And I'll come back when it starts. Okay, here we go again. Log back in, joining. That one actually is working. And now we just have to wait. And hopefully not wait too long. Looks like this one's gonna, I'm jinxing it by actually saying that. It'll fire when it wants to fire. There we go. And it fired because of that. So for this first one, I think it's a pretty easy pick. It's pushing me into the colors that you almost always want to be in anyway. And what a better option than Courser's Accord. I don't know if Armada Worm's worth anything either. I think it was getting some, I don't know if it got play in standard or I'd have to look it up. Whatever the case, it's a fun card to start with. And the question then becomes, what is the best way to support that or to build around that? Two options here, Knightly Valor versus Centaur's Herald. Both of them create tokens that help with the populate theme. And I kind of think Knightly Valor is just a little bit more swingy. Although I am going to want some early ammunition. But Knightly Valor has been surprisingly good for me. For early threats, I like the Sunspire Griffin. It can get in, sneak in some damage, holds its own, or actually can almost dominate the skies. And with the defensive butt to it, it makes it a little bit tougher for them to attack into. Now this is pretty easy. Eyes in the Skies works well with that theme. Common Bond or Pegasus I would also be willing to take, but prefer to hold out hope that I could populate and get an extra 5/5 Trampling Worm. This card also makes me really want the Guild Mage. Not that it's likely to get past you if you don't just open it yourself, but the idea of paying 4 to get a 5/5 Trampling Worm each turn is pretty enticing. The other thing that you kind of have to do with a deck like this is, to some extent, we're going to have to prioritize removal. Not that there's that much solid removal out there in these colors, but I probably am going to need to pick up an aerial predation if I get a chance. I definitely would take arrest and maybe multiple arrests here. Deliverance is not awful in this deck. We already have 3 ways to make tokens, but I think probably just Drudge Beetle gives us a 2-drop who not only fills the spot of, blocking Chain Walker or whoever, but the Scavenge gives it a little bit of added value later on in the game. Okay, here is interesting. We have the aerial predation, but we also have Towering Indrik, which can be very tough for an Azorius deck to deal with. Heck, it can be tough for a Rakdos deck to deal with. It's just a nice giant spider. And also a pretty good target for Knightly Valor, I found. Getting a 4/6 vigilant creature is usually can attack through. Requires them to commit a whole lot to your creature if they're going to try to kill it. I'm trying to think if there's any sort of like blink. I think I'm just drawing a blank on what's all in the format, but momentary blink style effects is what I'm kind of trying to think of. Savage Surge, the untap, is really the more relevant part there. Great surprise tactic. So I'm happy to take that. And here, I don't mind Prison Sanctuary, Horncaller's Chant. The Sanctuary I find is tougher to deal with, unless you, well, they have to have very specific removal to be able to get rid of it. Or regeneration, I suppose, to block repeatedly, but I feel with the 4/4s you have things that can trade or you have things that can outclass it. The 8/8, there's really not that much that will outclass it on its own. For example, if we have our Armada Worms there, we wouldn't want this coming out to block. From the cards I see here, Goblin Ooze is probably the best bet, just because if you're playing against someone who is running a deck with Stabbing Wounds, that's a nice answer. Take the Axebane Stag, even though it would never make this deck since I have the Sanctuary as an option. Yeah, at this point, these cards are not making the deck, or really probably anyone's deck, but you're just trying to cut what you can. Swindler actually is playable. So, seeing that, and well, and Cobble Brute, which was the other option there, I've seen plenty of people play that, so some of those Rakdos cards, or Golgari cards, or Izzet cards, some of those were coming around pretty late. Now this is an interesting one. Beastmaster really needs some help to, fully live up to its potential. Phantom General, we're still not at a point, well, it makes Eyes in the Skies a lot better, that's for sure. I think the potential upside of Wild Beastmaster is probably worth it, even something like temporary savage surge on it can be awesome. Here, gotta go with the Goliath. Knightly Valor there I would also like, but 5/5 for 4, you just don't get those deals that often. Here, Rogue's Passage, I think. I like the Gate Creeper pick. I like Azorius Arrestor also. I don't know how important Rogue's Passage is to the deck. Maybe we're better off with the ramp of the Creeper, because most of my creatures are just going to outclass their creatures. So I think I'm better off just making sure I'm able to cast them. Here, Augur Spree is definitely the best card, but that's not really in the cards for me. Seller of Songbirds, maybe. That gives me something to do on turn 3. Axebane Guardian definitely fits my plan, since I'm trying to cast some pretty big creatures. And I like the Vine into Axebane into potentially 6 mana. Here, I'd like the Giant Growth, but I'm going to go with the Rootborn Defense because of the Populate. Situationally, that can just be such a swing. Haven't seen many, if any, of those low early token generators. I mean, I saw one Centaur's Herald that I know of, but I haven't seen Call of the Concave, Selesnya Charm, anything like that. So right now I have to wait for 4. I guess Songbirds gets me 1 at 3. So that's a positive. It would be nice to get maybe Security Blockade or something along those lines. Here, I could see Chorus of Might. That probably is the play. I almost want to take the Ogre Jailbreaker just because it's the best card against me. And I could take a Rhino. I don't know if it's going to make the deck, but I don't mind having one. Same with Long Legs. Here, I don't really see any of those making it, so might as well take the card that could actually kill the big threats. So what am I sitting at? Of 1, 2 pump spells, 2 token generator spells, and a populate spell. And with 1 pack to go, I'm in pretty good shape. I don't necessarily want to play all of these cards here, but I could, and I can easily get 5 more playables out of the pack ahead, since right now I'm averaging 9. Now we want to shoot for either early token generating items. We could go for Common Bond, something that'll enhance that. I guess Knightly Valor would be another way to go with that. More ramp, so additional Axebane Guardians. Those all would work, and of course that Phantom removal that I talked about, but as of yet have not seen. So let's see. Well, that guy's pretty sweet, as is this. Yeah. Okay, so I got another kind of balmy card. Now I don't have as many early drops as I would like for this, but I'm going to take it. Uh, with the possibility with Apparition, Bond, Risen Sanctuary all there, and a couple Guild Gates and an Augur Spree. There's a potentially I get another card back from this pack, but I'm going to go with long color rare. Here, Precinct Captain makes some tokens potentially. Um, Judgment gives me removal, which I have been talking about. I guess my question is, how do I stop an early threat like a Precinct Captain? And I don't know if I do. Um, but probably since I have no removal, I need to go with the Judgment. And then here, something like Brush Strider is probably the pick. Just giving me another early creature. Nice thing is Seller of Songbirds gives me two creatures to tap, just right on, already there. Depending on if I can get something like Vine into Guardian, that also can accelerate this out pretty soon, quickly. And you know, as much as I like my 5/5 worm token, I prefer an 8/8 Vigilant Elemental. That's even better. And we have 3 cards to go. We're up to 14 creatures. And in addition to that, Eyes in the Skies is kind of a creature. Knightly Valor, kind of a creature, so we're actually more at 16. And then a couple more, Rootborn Defense and Tristani's Judgment could be helping me with that. With what I'm doing, I think another great Gate Creeper Vine is the best here. Decoy, Courses Accord, Seller, Songbirds, I would like all of those, but I definitely like the idea of going early, getting some extra mana to help me get to the end game. And we're only 4 picks in on this final pack, so hopefully we'll still find, I don't even know what I'm hopeful for. I mean, I would love a Celestia Charm. That's what I'm hopeful for. I would definitely settle for a second Axebane Guardian. That is, truth be told, that opens up doors. Well, if I'd known I was going to get to this kind of breakdown, I could have been picking those Augur Sprees and all that, because that card is an enabler all by itself. Oh, the cats are having a little disagreement. No. Okay, I'm going to take the Sundering Growth. Not that I expect to main deck it or anything, but sometimes you play against someone who has some enchantments and you want to deal. Here, Dead Reveler is just probably the best card that they would play against me. I could go with Avenging Arrow. I see that just as, you know, actually having an option. Here, I think Jailbreaker and Dramatic Rescue. I'll take the guard. And at this point, it really is just picking the cards that I dislike playing against the most. You know, I guess you could call that cutting some of the good cards for your opponent. Spawn would give them something pretty big. Another stag. Alright. So I think I'm going to be running pretty high on creatures, which is good, because running high on creatures means I'll have a better chance of getting to Grove of the Guardian on time. Multicolor. I want the Sanctuary. I want the Armada Worm. I probably want the Long Legs. I'll have to see for sure. I know I want the Judgment, the Knightly Valor, Eyes in the Skies, the Griffin, the Songbirds, and the Rootborn Defense. And in green, I want the Vines. Take all of those early ones. I want the Axebane Guardians and the Beastmaster. What do I have to make the Beastmaster larger? I don't know if I really do. The Indrik, the Goliath, the Ooze. Maybe I take the Stags. I mean, I know they're expensive, but we are talking about something that has 2 Vines and 2 Guardians. The Chorus of Might gives me a nice finisher. Maybe take this Grove of the Guardians as both a land, but also realizing that it may be gone. Suggesting 10-7, and I'm okay with that, because most of my green, it needs 1 green to work. I like the idea of an 18 land deck. The only real question there is like Wild Beastmaster. What would be my plan for it? Knightly Valor, probably. If I Knightly Valor, or if I Savage Surge. I guess if I Chorus of Might, that could be like absolutely insane. I'll go with it. Let's see how it works. Definitely the real plan is draw, draw, and then take your pick. We'll see how it goes. I'll see you in round 1.